What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another predicted lineup as in the build-up to our second Champions League game out in Lisbon against Sporting Lisbon, 5:45 kickoff on Tuesday evening. Before we get into it, I mean, we are shooting this before the press conference is released as we are flying out to Lisbon on Monday. But all we know is Lucas Moura, right?
Yeah, he's probably going to be out. It's not guaranteed because we have had a week since the last game, and I think Conte said 2 weeks ago it should be 2 weeks he's going to be out for. So there's a chance he's back, but I expect him to still be missing.
Well, let's get into the lineup. We're going for a 3-4-3 formation as per usual, and as per usual in goal is going to be Hugo Lloris, the captain.
Yeah, and didn't have too much to do in the last game against Marseille, but away from home against a decent Sporting side, maybe be called into action a bit more, but hopefully not.
Yeah, let's hope not anyway. But I think since that some said poor display against West Ham, he has come back and responded to that, I believe, and started playing well. So let's go to right wing back, and we're going to look at Emerson Royal once again.
Yeah, and I think he's played every single game, hasn't he, this season, Emerson Royal? And I think that's going to continue because, again, we've had a week break. So in terms of tiredness and fatigue, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And I think he's been decent in terms of stability for the team. He's done well. Obviously, as always, as with Emerson, whenever we mention him, as always, you want more from him. But in terms of how he helps the squad, the team dynamic when he's on the pitch, I think he does a decent job in that aspect. He just needs to do more in the final third. But I think he keeps his place.
Seems to be such a popular figure amongst the squad as well, Emerson Royal. But let's move on to the right centre-back. A player that's going to be extremely important for us is Cuti Romero.
Yeah, and he hasn't quite been as aggressive best ever since coming back into the team. And for my liking, I always want a bit more from Cuti Romero, comparing his displays to last season. But given that there's been a week break, hopefully that can help him a lot, gaining that edge that he's kind of not had in the past couple of games. So Romero has to stay in the team. Yeah,
and coming up against a player like Marcus Edwards, who's maybe won't be able to physically impose himself against our back three. Romero should be able to really get the upper hand, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I think he'll be maybe on Trincão's side. Trincão has scored a goal last week in the Champions League, so Romero's going to have to watch out for him. He's a tricky customer, but in terms of being able to dominate him physically, Romero definitely has that.
Alongside him in the middle, we're going to stick with Eric Dyer once again as well, who's also been ever present this season.
Yeah, and he's one of the positions where we don't have much cover, if any. So I expect a lot of appearances this season for Dyer. It's one game where I think he's got to be careful not to get isolated because they're tricky forwards. But I think as long as he's not being over-exuberant when he steps out into midfield like he has been recently, he should be okay. But obviously, there's no chance he doesn't play this game.
Yeah, and to make up that back three, we're going for Clement Longley on the left side of that defence.
Yeah, and I think he's done well since coming into the team. Obviously, didn't have maybe as good a game against Marseille as he did against Fulham, but I think right now he's showing more than Davis. So I think Conte likes him in that role. So I think he's going to keep his place.
Yeah, and as much as he wasn't as good against Fulham, he still had a fairly good game, didn't he? Just didn't give that same aura in terms of his ball-playing ability against Marseille than he did against... Because at Fulham, he looked to add a complete different dimension to our play, but didn't really do that against Marseille.
Yeah, and maybe he'll be able to do that in this game with a bit more space.
And then to make up that back five, left wing back, we are going for Ivan Perisic. Seeing as we missed out that Man City game on the weekend, I mean, it should be fairly obvious that Perisic comes in for this one.
Yeah, and I think especially in Champions League, with him in the team, we're just more of a threat, and I think we're going to need that in this game if we're going to take all 3 points, even though they can be quite an offensive side. I think we need someone like Perisic who can, if they're trying to stifle our front three, we just have that other option, so we need him in this game for me.
So let's run through that back line with you guys one more time. Hugo Lloris in goal, Emerson right wing back, Perisic left wing back, Longley, Dyer and Romero in the centre back positions, which was exactly the same as against Marseille. In the midfield, we're going to look at Rodrigo Bentancur, seeing as Conte doesn't seem to think Bissouma's just about ready just yet.
Yeah, and maybe with a week, a help, he might come along a bit more. But I still think for this game, we're going to want that stability of the midfield too. And I think Bentancur's done a good job since coming back into the team. He keeps his place for me. And I think we just need that composure to maybe set us up on attacks, which we haven't had without him in the team. So, yeah, he has to play.
And alongside him, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who's also been ever-present this year and Mr. Consistent this year as well. Well, since Conte's come in, we keep waxing lyrical about him.
Yeah, and he's been brilliant. And I thought he had another good game against Marseille, a really good assist for Richarlison's second goal. And I think he's one where he's playing really consistently throughout the season. He's kept some really high standards, and I think fans are starting to appreciate him a bit more now, and I think he does a really important role for the team. So I think he has to play. Yeah,
it's like not only that role he does for the team, which is so important, but like you said, got an assist last game, scored 2 goals in the Premier League already, which has equalled his tally for last season. So he really is starting to contribute going forward, which we love to see from Pierre. So Pierre and Bentancur in the middle. On the right is an interesting one, toss-up between Kulu and Richarlison, but we are giving them Richarlison the nod again for this one, which is a bit unfair on Kulu, to be fair.
Yeah, and especially the impact he made coming off the bench as well against Marseille. I know as a right wing-back, but he did play really well when coming on, so it's harsh. I don't even think right now it's a toss-up between Kulu and Richarlison. I think it's probably between Kulu and Son. But Richarlison, after his 2 goals and that energy he brings to us right now, you can't leave him out the side. And I think he's earned his spot. So I think he keeps it on, even though I don't think he's at his best. He's on the right. I think that's probably the weakest of his 3 positions, but he's still doing a really good job there. So fair play to him.
And he started on the right against Fulham though, and had a fairly good game. So.
I'm not saying he's bad there. I'm saying that's for me that's his weakest position on the right, and he's still playing well. That's my point.
Yeah, you're totally right there. Up front, obviously Harry Kane, top goal scorer this year, talisman this. I was about to say talisman this year, but he's always our talisman. But Harry Kane just slots straight back in, obviously.
Of course. He's the main man. He's also still getting the goals as well, and he's going to be vital with his hold-up play and playmaking ability, which without, the other... players who are much more gifted on the ball, especially without Kulusevski, he becomes very vital in that aspect. So he has to play, of course.
And then to finish off that starting 11, we're going to go for Heung-min Son on the left. A lot of people calling for him to be rested, potentially. How many more maybe bad games can you see him playing and not getting rested?
Yeah, it's always the question, isn't it, when with the form he's in. But I think... knowing Conte, he can be quite stubborn especially with Kane and Son. He doesn't want to let them out the side. And I think now that I think if we would have had City on Saturday, he might have missed out on this one. But because we have that week break, I think that maybe gives him a chance to start him again. And he has to. But, he has to start breaking his duck. But then again, people say his bad performances. He played well against Fulham, and he doesn't get any credit for it because he didn't score. And people say, well, how many more bad games? Well, he did have a good game. But then again, he didn't play that well against Marseille. But then again, he did earn the red card. So he's still contributing to the team. So as long as he's doing that, he'll probably keep his place. So I think that's why we're going to keep him in the team.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go through that lineup with you guys one more time. So in goal, it's Hugo Lloris. A back 3 of Cuti Romero, Eric Dyer, Clement Longley, Ivan Perisic on the left, Emerson Royal on the right, Rodrigo Bentancur and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg in the middle, with Heung-min Son and Richarlison supporting Harry Kane. If this is the lineup, what's your score prediction?
2-0. I'm just thinking that their front line, although it's tricky, with the way we play, we should be able to contain it and stop them from really hurting us. And then hopefully we can exploit the space that a team like Sporting generally do leave with our front 3. So I'm going for a 2-0 win, which would be the perfect start to our CL campaign.
Yeah, absolutely would be. I'm going for 2-1. I think historically we're not such a great travellers in Europe, and Sporting started their campaign really good with a 3-0 away win to Frankfurt. So I do think they can get a goal from somewhere. Marcus Edwards will definitely have something to prove, but I think Spurs should be a bit too strong for Sporting Lisbon in this game. And if we do win, it puts us in really good stead for the group going into that double header against Eintracht Frankfurt. So I'm going 2-1. My brother's going 2-0. I want to know your score predictions in the comment section below. Let me know your predicted lineup in the comment section below as well. And thank you everyone for joining us. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.